everybody. Welcome to the yoga session, brought to you by Mindful Warriors and the Space to Breathe Collective, and me, Jeff. Let's do this. Why don't we start on our backs today? You probably won't need much in the way of props, right? I always like to have a blanket on hand. You know, it's just something nice to fold up and sit on if I want to, or it can give me something to use as like a strap if I want to use it to reach or grab. I have a chair here. We might use that to give some options. Everything we do will be, you know, perfectly appropriate to do with some chair support or chair alternatives, seated positions if we want to. And then I have a couple blocks, okay? And it's not necessary to have these fancy yoga blocks, right? I think I'm kind of on a mission to do things without the fancy stuff in yoga. There's too much fancy in yoga, if you ask me. So, what can you use instead of blocks, right? Just get a few books, right? Usually we use blocks to sit on, so just sit up on a couple books or get a few blankets or towels, right? If I'm using a block for like some kind of support, like this, right? Then you could get a big book, right? A big sturdy book, right? Do people still have books? I still have books, but I'm starting to think that maybe people don't have books anymore because they just use ChatGPT to tell them everything they need to know. But that's a different story. If you have a big book, what about like a big dictionary, right? People probably don't have dictionaries anymore. I love dictionaries. You know, the big old school ones, right, that are like about that thick, a little bit wider, maybe a little bit longer. You could take a dictionary, and if you don't want to, you could take duct tape and just wrap around that dictionary, and you've got a nice solid block right there. If you don't want to tape it up, then get a whole bunch of elastic bands, right, and really tighten it up that way, so that you know you're not going to put your whole weight on it, but you can use it for support in all kinds of various ways. Okay, let's see where we go. Not necessary. We can always work around it without the blocks, but if you wanted to find something that you can use, you can do that. Okay. So let's start on our backs. You might have your props at hand, right? So they're there if you need them. And then come down onto your back. When you make your way down onto the floor, it might feel good to carefully take one knee in, take the other knee in. You can hug the knees in, rock side to side, circle the knees, separate the knees. Might feel good on the inner legs or the hips, right? But give yourself a minute. Right? When you take on a new position, I usually like to just take a moment and see how it feels, and then let my body tell me what it might want to add in. Okay. In fact, let's take another minute here to feel our way into our breath here at the start. You can do it with the knees drawn in, and you might notice if you take a really deep breath in, you might feel just a little bit of resistance. Maybe the legs are pressing in against your abdomen, right? So as your lungs inflate, you might feel them having to work against the legs, right? If that feels uncomfortable for you, you can just release the legs down, give yourself a little bit more space, right? But can you take just a few rounds of breath here to feel an expansive inhale, and then to feel a nice long exhale where you follow your breath all the way to the very end. last breath here. Okay. And then if you're still drawing your knees in, let's go ahead and release the legs, and we'll come into a bridge pose from here. Okay? So I'll set my feet down to the floor. Okay. And then I'll reach my fingertips down, and I should be just about able to touch my heels with the tips of my fingers. That's about where my feet should go. Feet about hip width apart. I usually like to use this as a nice way into my mindfulness as well. I can't see my feet, but I can feel my feet, and that's the key. Feeling your way in to the sensations in your body, right? You want to lift up your toes, spread out your toes. You want to press through your heels, press through the base of the big toe or the outer edge of your foot. Make that connection, make it palpable, feel it. Okay. And then our bridge pose, let's take the first, we'll do a few rounds. Maybe we'll do 3 rounds, and we can pace ourselves here. So maybe on the first round, it's just about movement, and it's about matching that movement to the fullness of our breath. Okay. So the next time an inhale comes around, you can press into your feet, lift your hips off the floor, and roll your way up through your spine. As you exhale, can you slowly release your way back down so you feel your spine come back down and meet the floor, and eventually the back of your hips, your pelvis, rest against the floor. Right? And then you can just move at the pace of your breath. Inhale to press into your feet and roll up through your spine. Exhale to release your way back down. Okay. Go ahead and just follow your breath 4, 5, or 6 rounds. As your body becomes more familiar with this movement, if you want to start to open it up a little bit more by pressing more into your feet or pressing through the backs of your arms, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, maybe last round here. And then when you've released back down to the floor, maybe you just step your feet out wide to the edges of your mat and let your knees fall in to support each other, so you don't have to do any work in the legs, in the abdomen. You can rest your arms away from your sides. Just taking 2 or 3 breaths here to let go of that work and feel the body pause. And when you're ready for your next round, you can step the feet back in about hip width apart. You might want to reach down and touch your heels. And then when you're ready to, go ahead and press into the feet, lifting back up. This round, you might decide to hold. Okay, so you could keep the hips lifted. If you like the movement, you can feel free to continue to move with your breath, but if you prefer, you could keep your hips lifted this time. And maybe you feel like adding a little bit more in. Maybe you press a little bit more firmly through the backs of your arms. Maybe you interlace your fingers underneath you and maybe squeeze the palms of the hands together. You feel the opening across your chest. You might walk the shoulder blades a little bit closer together underneath you. All right, so I've got a comfortable arch in my spine. I've got my hips lifted. Got my heart lifted, I've got my chest open, right? And within all of that, I'm staying with that nice full breath, deep breath in. I might try to breathe all the way down towards my belly. Nice long exhale, follow the breath all the way out. Okay, maybe one last breath here. And then on the exhale, you can slowly make your way back down to the floor. Okay.
And again, take a pause where you can feel your body let go of the work. So really helpful, I think, in a yoga practice to modulate between that activation and relaxation, right? Bringing the energy up and then teaching the body to give space to bring it back down. Let it go. Okay. Last round of our bridge pose here. Okay. So your choice, right? Feel into your body and know if everything's feeling good, if you found the shape and everything feels right and your body wants to even reach in with some more, right? You could add in some more effort, any of those options that we took before to really open and lift. If you feel like you've done enough already and your body's telling you it would rather take it a little bit more easy, you could come back to that gentle lifting and gentle letting go. Or if you have blocks or whatever you're using for blocks, you might lift up and then slide those blocks or block underneath the back of your pelvis, sacrum, and let the hips rest in that elevated position, right? So now I can take more of a passive position here and I can let my body go. I can let gravity work on my body and I can just focus on that simple movement of my breathing. I still have that gentle arch in my back. I still have my hips lifted, heart open. Okay, maybe one last breath here. Releasing back down to the floor. If you're elevated on something, you can lift the hips, slide your blocks or whatever away, let yourself come back down. And again, step the feet out wide, let the knees fall in. Take a few breaths to let it go. And then from here, let's make our way back up to a seated position, right? You could carefully take one knee in, and then you carefully take the other knee in. It might feel good to just gently draw the knees in and rock a little side to side, right? Rounding the spine gently in the other direction. You might draw your chin towards your chest. Circle the knees. And then from here, we'll make our way up to our boat pose, Navasana. Okay. Any number of ways you can get there. If it feels good, you might hang on to the legs and you could rock forward. Right. You could rock up and down along the spine. If that doesn't sound like a good idea to you for whatever reason, then you could just roll to one side. Go ahead and press yourself back up. Okay. From here, from your seated position, you can hug the knees in. Right? You could really use your arms to really squeeze the knees in nice and tight. If you want to balance a bit, you could go ahead and you could lift the heels, kind of keep your toes touching to the floor. But where I want to go is, can I open my chest and can I lengthen through my spine? Right? Not slouching forward. I'm actually using my arms to pull my chest up and through. If I wanted to bring more balance in, I could lift the feet off the floor. I could still use the strength of my arms to hold me in here. But if I wanted to start to work into my center, I could become aware of the muscles deep in my center here that are going to keep my knees drawn in, and I can release the arms. Right? I can reach the arms forward. Right? Staying with my breath. I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not, gritting my teeth. Right? If I start to lose the shape and I start to round or I start to drop the feet, I can always grab onto the backs of my legs and use that leverage to pull my chest up and through. Right? I could lift my feet a bit. Okay. So if I'm holding on here, I don't have to use so much work here. Right? If I wanted to come back and practice that engagement there, again, I could release and reach the arms forward and try to keep lifting through my chest and keeping the knees high. Whenever I need a break, I could grab back on, roll the shoulders out, come back in. Okay. Some days if I'm feeling crazy, I could grab onto my toes or my feet. I could reach one leg out long, reach the other leg out long, maybe someday reach both legs out long. I could open the legs, close the legs, right? Play around, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Today, maybe I stay. Whenever you feel like you've done the amount of work that you want to feel here, you can set the feet down. You can hold on to the knees and the shins. And I could round myself forward. I could hug around the legs. And I could just release the full weight of my head forward. Okay. I can relax through the back of the neck. I can relax my shoulders, upper back. Right? And I can really become keenly aware of my breathing here. Okay? Not only can I feel it very specifically, as I take a deep breath in, I can feel it move into my back. I can feel it back behind my shoulder blades. I might breathe more up into the upper back. Right? And I can use that breath. I can use the physicality of the breath to gently open into that space. Maybe that space holds a lot of tension, so this might be a good way to let that space relax, particularly the neck, shoulders, upper back, and then gently breathe a little bit more opening into it. As you exhale, remember, follow the exhale all the way out. Let everything be nice and heavy. You could rock a little side to side or roll the head a little bit to one side or the other if that feels good. And you can also probably hear your breath. Right? So we can use all these sensations, become aware of them, to keep us gently placed in our mindfulness practice. I can hear the breath, I can feel the breath. Right? Just following that moment to moment to moment. That's perfect yoga practice. Let's take 2 more complete breaths here. And then from here, why don't we make our way up to stand? Okay, and you can get there any way you want to, any way that feels comfortable for you. Right? But just see if you can stay mindful of your movement. Right? You might bring yourself up through a forward fold. Okay, so coming onto the feet, you could release the upper body all the way down. Right? Probably a bend in the knees is going to feel good here to keep the strain out of your lower back. Right? Again, if you have your blocks, you could set your hands on the blocks so they don't have to reach all the way to the floor. Alternatively, if you have a chair, you could use the support of the chair. If you don't have either of those, you could place your hands on your knees, or your forearms on your thighs. Okay. Perhaps most importantly, can you let your head be heavy? Can you let your neck stay relaxed? All right. If you want a little bit more sensation in the legs,
You don't have to straighten the legs. That would probably pull strain into your lower back. You can keep your knees bent. Can you just imagine lifting your hips a little bit higher? And can you feel that draw, that sensation, that stretch into the back of the legs? Okay. Couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready to make your way all the way up to stand, just know what feels right for your body. Right? You might let the upper body hang and roll your way up. If you feel like you need some support, hands on the knees. Maybe come up halfway. Press your feet into the floor, strong legs. Maybe take a pause. And then when you're ready, pressing the rest of the way up. Okay, when you get there, give yourself a second in your mountain pose, Tadasana. Let everything reorganize and find its place. And then let's take a balancing pose here. Okay? So there's never anything wrong with using some extra support in a balancing pose, right? I've got the chair here. I could hold on to the chair. If there's a wall nearby you, right, you could press your hand into the wall, right? Maybe just keep a finger on the wall. Sometimes that's enough to just let your body know where things are in space and give you a little bit more confidence or stability, okay? When you're ready to, right, feel your balance with both feet on the floor, right? You might bend your knees and let yourself feel nice and heavy, reaching down through the feet, making that mindful connection there. Okay, spread your feet out nice and wide. Try not to grip the floor, right? Reach the soles of your feet out wide. Okay. Shift the weight over into your left leg, right? And maybe perfect mindfulness practice here, right? Can you take a little bit of time? Don't just say, okay, I stand on my left leg. Can you feel the transfer of the weight over from your right leg, or both legs, all the way over into the left, right? So I could stop kind of midway where I still have some support here, and then I could feel myself shift a little bit more until I reach that point where my right leg's not really supporting me anymore. It's all here. My foot can still touch, but I can feel that I'm really being supported by this left leg. Now, if I wanted to, I could lift the right heel off the floor. I could float the whole foot off the floor and see where I am, right? If it's too much to keep the foot lifted, maybe I touch a toe down, right? Just to stabilize or just to catch me if I need it. Okay. And then let's transfer it to the other side. Okay, so reaffirming the connection through the right foot, and see if you can slowly feel the shifting of the weight more and more over into the right leg. Adjust that right foot if you need to. Okay. And then when you feel the work being done completely by that right leg, you could decide to lift the left heel. You could stay here. You could lift the left foot off the floor altogether. You could play around a bit, right? You could reach through the leg forward, to the side, back behind you. And then when you're ready to come back to center, again, mindfully, set the foot down, feel the shift of the weight, come back, feel both legs supporting you. Again, you might bend into the knees and reach through both feet. Okay. Why don't we take a break from the balancing and we'll come into our chair pose. Right? We can bring the energy up a little bit. Okay, so chair pose, let's take an inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Let's come back to finding the breath, exhale, releasing the arms all the way back down. Right? Don't be in any rush. Inhaling to sweep the arms up. Exhale to release the arms down. Maybe one more time. Next time arms are up overhead, we can take a pause there. let the breath continue. It's just that the rest of the body is coming back to stillness. Okay, and then the inhale, you can really emphasize that lengthening. As you exhale, softening into the knees. Okay. So we can take this to whatever point feels kind of appropriate for where we are right now. I could keep reaching through the arms, or I might decide better to take palms of my hands to the center of my chest. Right? I might want to feel it a little bit more in my legs, so I might bend my knees a little bit more. I might even let the hips drop back and allow my chest to come forward. Can I draw in gently with the center of my body so that I'm not arching my back, I'm actually drawing in here to lengthen through my spine. So we've got a similar shape to the boat pose that we did, right? If I come in here, right? You can imagine I was seated here, right? Staying with the breath. Feeling it in my legs, right? Resisting the urge to just stand back up and measuring myself on my breath. Okay, when I'm ready to come back out, I might take one long inhale, might press the feet down, and then exhale to let it go and come all the way back up to stand. Can you feel like a wave of relaxation moving through the body? Maybe we add some movement in here, okay? So inhaling to come into the chair pose, exhaling to release and come back up to stand. This could be a really gentle chair pose, and then a full release. It could be a really powerful chair pose, maybe even clenching the fists and squeezing the muscles in the arms, and then letting it go, okay? Up to you. Whatever feels right to you right now. Most important thing, follow the fullness of your breath. Guide yourself through the movement. Maybe two more. Okay. And let's bring it down to a forward fold. Okay? So you could inhale and come back into your chair pose, and then an exhale to release down into a forward fold. Okay? That might mean coming down to the floor, might mean just coming down onto your knees or your forearms. Okay? And then we can move between these two positions as well. So when you're ready on your inhale, see if you can find a chair pose just in that one inhale, right? Inhale. And then exhale to release back down. Let the head drop, neck relax. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. Follow your breath for a few more rounds. However much effort you want to bring into it. Last time through chair pose, inhale, and then exhale again, releasing up into your mountain pose. All right. Allow yourself a chance to bring the energy level back down. Maybe a hand over the heart, you can feel your heart beating. Right. Still alive. Okay. Other hand might be right below the rib cage. Feeling your body breathe in, feeling your body breathe out. Two more breaths. Really nice to allow yourself a chance to stay in that pause and feel the body relax. Okay, you can relax your arms down to the side and out there. if we want to have our blocks ready, we can have them with us at the top of the mat. If I want to have the chair here to support me, I could also work with the chair at the top of the mat. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this stuff kind of accessible to me, and I can show you how we can work as we go along. Okay, let's come back to one more balancing pose that will lead us into some of the other standing poses. Okay, so why don't we do a warrior two? No, sorry, balancing pose. Let's do a tree pose. Okay, so both feet carrying our weight, just as we did before. Let your weight shift over into that left leg again. Now, we can come out of that right foot. Heel can come to the ankle with the toes to the floor to give us that support. That right foot could lift up, find a place on the left calf, or if you have the room for it, you could draw up and set the sole of the right foot in on the inside of the left thigh. Okay, so wherever you feel comfortable right now, okay, palms of the hands could come together, arms could sweep up overhead, right? If you want to have the chair at hand to give you that kind of touch of stability, or wall, if there's a wall nearby. Okay. Finding that center, letting yourself kind of rest through it, and staying on that simple movement of your breathing. Okay, and we can count this one down from 3, 2, and 1. Mindfully bringing yourself back out. So releasing that right foot, feeling it meet the floor, shifting the weight back. You could shake it out if that helps you come back to center. And then we're just going to switch sides. So feel the transfer of the weight over into the right leg, coming out of the left. Again, same positions. You could take the heel to the ankle, calf, or up onto the thigh, wherever you feel right. Okay. Allowing that left knee to just roll outward. Okay. You can have the hand back on the chair or the wall. Palms of the hands could come together, or you can sweep the arms up overhead. Eyes are nice and still. Breath is nice and steady. Don't be afraid if you feel unsteady to let the toe come back down to the floor to give you a little support. Maybe you decide to step your way back in. Okay, again, counting down for 3, 2, and 1. All right, exhaling, releasing back down, foot to the floor, and then go ahead and shake that out. When you're ready, why don't we come into that warrior two pose now? Okay, so again, we can have the chair and the blocks at the ready. Okay, and we can use our balancing to find our way in. Okay, shifting the weight into that left leg again, coming out of the right, and just stepping that right foot back. Okay, you can do it as slowly or as quickly as you want, reaching that foot back. Right, you might let it hover. Eventually, as you reach, it's going to find the floor, and then you can set some weight back into that right leg. Okay? See how your hips feel? See how it feels to bend into that left knee? Right? Eventually, you might find your way into this lunge in your legs where you've got the knee about over the ankle, right? If that's too much on the knee, then you can keep it shallower than that. Not forgetting about the back leg, press that right foot into the floor and feel the muscles really supporting you through that back leg, all the way up into the thigh, okay? Warrior two, if you want to add in the arms, you could bring palms and hands together, roll your shoulders back, or take an inhale, reach the arms out wide. Right. If you want to, if your neck feels okay with it, you could turn your head so you're gazing loosely towards those left fingertips out in front of you. Right? Don't forget about the back side of the body. Press that right foot to the floor. Reach through that right arm actively. And keeping that spine nice and vertical at center. Steady breath. Okay, one more inhale here to reach and press through those feet. Then as you exhale, you can straighten the front leg and relax the arms down. Again, let your body feel that. Let your body feel the letting go. Okay, and now we can add on to that. Okay, so we can come back into our warrior two. Okay. When you're ready, inhale, floating the arms. Okay. And you can take your back hand, right hand, drop it to your back leg. Right? You can take your front hand, left hand, rotate the palm up, legs stay as they are. Take an inhale, and just go ahead, you can lift that left arm. Imagine lifting your chest up. Right? You might find a gentle back bend, right? But not about how far back can I come. Maybe how much can I open my chest? How much can I lift and reach upward? Pressing the back foot down and following it all the way up. Right? Breathing. Okay. Now let's take this forward. Okay. So you might take an inhale here, and then as you exhale, back to your warrior two, and then keep coming forward. So that front forearm, the left forearm, might come down onto the thigh. And that top arm can sweep up overhead and start to reach up past that right ear. Okay? So now I've got this, we call this an extended side angle pose. Right? Pressing through that right foot, strong leg, and following that all the way up. Out through that right arm. Okay. Maybe not too much weight in that forearm, right? Using your center to hold you if you can. Alternatively, get out of your chair. Okay. Let's take it back up. So when you're ready on an inhale, pull yourself back up and give yourself a chance to let it go. Okay. Now we can add movement in to match the breath here. Okay, so when you're ready, find that inhale to find your warrior two. Okay, and then we're going to move with the breath. So the inhale is to come back into that reverse warrior. The exhale takes us all the way forward to that side angle pose. Okay, so inhaling to lift, exhaling to reach forward. Inhale. Exhale. Right. Follow your own breath. Legs stay just as they are. Using your center and the arms to draw your way between the two. Matching it to the breath. Letting the breath carry you through. Okay. Last one. Inhale to take you back up. And exhale. Let it go. Right? Feel nice relief through the body. Right? Shake out the legs. Okay. Let's move into triangle pose from here. Okay. So what I usually do from a warrior two would be to take that back foot and just step it in a bit. Okay. So I have a little shorter stance. And then from here, take my hands to my hips. I can roll the shoulders back, pressing down through both feet so they're nice and firm, right? Legs are supporting me here. Front leg's gonna stay straight. I'm just gonna hinge at my waist and reach out in front, okay? Now, I wanna keep the spine nice and long, okay? That front arm, that left arm can drop down and give me some support on that front leg, or on the chair. Or on the block. Okay, all depends how much reach I have here. Okay, so whatever whatever option you take, right, can you feel this lengthening in your spine, right? Drawing that length into the back of that left leg. And then the right hand could stay on the right hip, and you could use that leverage or your lower back to draw your shoulder back, so you really want to open through the chest. And then from there, the hand could stay, or it could sweep up towards the ceiling. Gaze could be straight to the side, right? You could look up to that top hand. If that's too much on your neck, you could just let your gaze fall down towards that front foot, right? Really demanding pose. See if you can stay on your breath. Okay, when you're ready to come back out, maybe soften that front knee if you need to support yourself with your hand to press yourself back up. And then let's go ahead and step it back out, okay? So, stepping that right foot back up to the top, okay? Shake it out if you need to. Okay. And then we can do the same thing on the other side, okay? So this time, shifting the weight over into the right leg, right? Remember we started with that little option of balancing for a moment, right? And then we're gonna take that left foot, start to reach it back, right? Eventually finds the floor, right? Coming into that warrior two, so bending into the front knee. Right? Seeing how we feel on this side. Right? Squaring chest and shoulders to the side. Inhale to float the arms. Right? If it's better for you, palms of the hands could come to the center, shoulders roll back. Okay? Gaze might be neutral to the side or gazing loosely towards the left or the right fingertips, but not forgetting about that left arm, not forgetting about that left leg. Steady breath, eyes still. Okay. Last breath here, inhale, and then exhale. Remembering the poses that we added on the other side, so you can go ahead and find your way back to your warrior two. Right? And then feeling them first on this side. Remember, we took the back hand, drop it to the back leg, rotate the front palm up, and then take a nice deep inhale as you lift. Right? Just like we did on our triangle pose, you can use this back hand to help roll that left shoulder back so you're really opening, lifting, reaching, breathing. Okay, when you're ready to take it to your extended side angle pose, one more inhale, and then as you exhale through your warrior two, and then that front forearm can come down to support you, or remember, if you have a block, or if you have the chair, okay, wherever you feel comfortable. Left arm sweeps up and over, extends forward. Right. So I've got that reach from that left foot through the leg, through the spine, through the side, through the arm, all the way out through the fingertips. Again, really demanding pose. See if you can stay on the breath. When you're ready to make your way back up, right? Top arm can pull you up. You can press with that front hand. Exhale, give yourself a chance to let it go. Okay, and then if you want to come back in for the movement, all right, starting in warrior two. Inhale to draw up. Exhale to take it all the way forward to your side angle pose. Inhale. Exhale. Take your time. Move at a pace that feels right for you to match your breath. Last one. When you're ready to come out, inhale to draw back up, and then exhale. Let it go. Straighten the front leg, feel the legs relax, shake out the arms. Okay, and then our triangle pose on this side. You want to step that back foot in a little bit. Okay. And then front foot pointing forward, back toes turned out, maybe hands to the hips, feeling the chest and shoulders squared. Okay. And then sending the hips back and hinging out over that front leg. Front leg, both legs stay straight. Pressing that front foot down into the floor. You might have a tiny, tiny bend in that front knee. Right? And find where it's a good place to have that right hand. Could support you on the front leg. Could be on a block. Could be on a chair. Okay. Left hand, might start on your lower back. Take an inhale. Roll that shoulder back, open your chest, and then if you want to float that arm, you can. Keep pressing through the feet, strong in the legs, reaching long through your spine. Right, so I think about this lengthening through my spine and then lengthening arm to arm. Okay, when you're ready to come up, maybe a bend in the front knee, maybe a pull from that top hand, maybe a press from that lower hand. Okay, when you're ready to step it forward, shift your weight, step your left foot up to match. Okay, and again, give yourself a chance to get a good shakeout after that. Really demanding poses, a lot of work. Body might want to just let it go. Okay. Why don't we start to wind it down? We can take it down to the floor, okay, and make our way towards our relaxation, right? We brought the energy up, got a good amount of work in the body, now guiding it down to relaxation, okay? So, from wherever you feel comfortable on your mat, pressing through both feet, inhaling, sweeping both arms up, right? Bringing everything back to center. Exhale, you might follow the hands back down to your heart. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. See if you can keep it nice and slow, following the hands down. And this one you might take all the way down into a forward fold. Releasing down, finding the support that you might need. Maybe hands on the knees, arms on the thighs. Hold on to the chair, letting the head drop. Letting the neck be loose. Coming back into that nice complete breath. As we start to wind it down, nice and long in the exhale. You might consciously start to measure the breath and try to stretch the breath out, the exhale out a little bit longer than your inhale. Okay. Last breath here. And then let's come down through a pigeon pose. Okay? So you could set your hands and you could step your feet back and come onto your knees. Right? I'll show you a couple of options here because the front side version might not be for everybody. Right? So if I'm on my hands and knees, I can slide my right knee forward and slide my right foot underneath. Right? Underneath and across. And then, from here, I might already be feeling it kind of around this right hip, maybe on the front side of the left hip. Right? I could stay here. If I wanted to come in a little bit further, I could take that back foot and I could start to slide further back. I could also take that back foot and start to walk it around over to the right, so it's like I'm kind of rotating my way in. The front leg stays as it is. And then I can stay up high. Right? I could really prop myself up and come back to opening the chest. If I wanted to make this more passive and really kind of start dropping into my relaxation, I could come down onto my forearms. I could release my forehead down to the floor. And now I can take this as a passive pose. Just bringing my body into the shape and then letting gravity and my exhale do the work. Right? So I'm inhaling, still a nice full inhale, exhale, spending even more time letting the breath find its way out. Body feeling nice and heavy. Okay. If this front side doesn't feel like it's the right way to do it for you, you could come down onto your back, taking the right ankle across the left thigh. Okay. You could stay here. You could reach the hands forward and through and interlace the fingers somewhere on that left leg, and you could gently draw back. Right. Just being really mindful and careful of the knee, the hip. Another version could be in the chair. If you want to take a seat there, you could cross the ankle over the shin, maybe the ankle over the thigh, sitting nice and tall. You could start to hinge at the waist. So I'm leading with my chest. I'm not forcing anything down. Right? I'm trying to keep my spine long. And then as I exhale, right? Not trying to get anywhere, I'm just seeing how my body is willing to open. Okay? So whatever option you take, maybe 2 or 3 more breaths to finish. Fairly intuitive if you're in the chair or on your back. If you're on your front, right, if you're down, you might lift your way back up. You might walk that back knee in, right? So then you could take that right foot, slide it back under, reach it back behind you. Okay, and we're just going to switch sides. Okay, so if I'm on my hands and knees, I could slide that left knee forward, slide the left foot underneath and across. And then sliding that right leg back. Maybe sweeping that right leg around to the left. Right? But making my way in nice and slowly. Right? No big movements. I'm exploring and seeing how everything feels. Making adjustments as I go. And again, I can stay up high. I could come down low. On my back, I could come back to the chair. How steady can you be in your breath? Can you notice the shifts in the sensations that you feel across the movement of your breath? Last breath on this side. And when you're ready to make your way out, if you're on your front side, you could just lean over onto your left hip and then sweep that right leg back around. Right? So we can all find our way to a seated position here. If you're on your back, you might just roll to one side and press your way back up. If you're in the chair, you could stay in the chair if you want to. Doing what you need to bring yourself to a comfortable seated position. Okay? Maybe we'll take a minute or two here and then we'll still have a chance to come down onto our backs for final relaxation if you want. Okay? But seeing if you can give yourself a second to pause in the seated position where you're using just these really kind of subtle efforts to keep your body nice and still. We're not feeling a lot of work, we're just feeling kind of an intentional support of the body and maintaining that sense of stillness. Fully aware of the hands at rest, the arms are heavy, wherever they're comfortable. Aware of a nice gentle length in the spine, particularly as I inhale, expansiveness. And then as I exhale, I might feel the softening moving through the body. Maybe my shoulders are relaxing. Following that exhale all the way out to the very end. Eyes can be closed. If you prefer to have your eyes open, you might just drop your gaze downward towards the floor. Relax the focus of your eyes. You're not looking at anything. Right? Just feeling perhaps that gentle movement of your breathing. Right? Particularly watching that tapering of the exhale all the way to the very end of the breath. When it gets there, what happens? Right? Do you find a stillness? Do you find a pause? Right? Do you feel the urge to rush right back into the next inhale? See if you can kind of step aside from that and see if you can allow the breath to just slowly reach the tail end of that exhale and see if there's a pause there. If there is, it's not holding the breath, it's just letting everything come to a gentle rest. And see if you can allow that rest to happen in that pause for as long as it lasts. And you're waiting and listening and feeling for when the body says, okay, I need to breathe in now. And then go ahead and follow that simple message from your body. Deep breath in, long breath out, watch it taper, come to that stillness, maybe a pause. And then you feel the body need to breathe in, so you follow that. Just resting in that cycle of breath. We'll take 2 or 3 more rounds. And when you reach the end of that last round of breath, you could decide to stay in your seated pose for the last minute or two. If you wanted to gently reposition yourself on your backs for Shavasana, right? The full reclined relaxation, you could. Okay, but we'll go ahead and just allow these last couple minutes in silence. Right? Remembering just allowing for the relaxation of the body, allowing for the ease, the release of any kind of effort, resting the physical body as simply as we can. Right? You might even relax the control of the breathing. Right? You've guided your breath for the better part of an hour here, maybe even letting the breath be effortless. Let the breath find whatever shape comes along naturally. Your practice might just be to follow, to feel that breath as it moves. Okay? Just resting as simply as you can. rest, being aware of the movement of the breath in the body. Whenever you feel ready to bring some activation back into the physical body, maybe focusing on the inhale. Taking a slightly deeper breath in, feeling sensations come back along with that. And maybe starting to sweep your arms out to the side, right? Starting to reach and listen for whatever your body wants to bring forward, right? And then kind of trusting in that and just following it into whatever kind of reaching, twisting, rounding, lengthening, whatever shape your breath wants to take. You might take a deep breath in, you might hold it for a moment, it might turn into a yawn. Go ahead and follow it. If you're on your back, you might gently draw the knees into the chest, carefully. Eventually finding your way over onto one side. And then carefully pressing your way back up to a seated position. Okay, you can gently bring palms of the hands together in front of the center of the chest, maybe rubbing the hands together. And then letting the palms be still at your heart center. Great work practicing today. You might give yourself a second and just finish with a bow, right? A wholehearted bow, wishing yourself well as best you can, everybody else well. Namaste.